What happens when the man trusted to lead souls to salvation hides a beast that howls for blood? Stay with me, because in this opening scene, the line between the pulpit and the predator shatters, and one poor village girl will discover a secret no one was meant to know. The chapel bell tolls under the swollen weight of a blood-red moon. Villagers, weary and desperate, crowd inside the crumbling wooden chapel, clutching their rosaries, whispering prayers. Pastor Elias, a tall man with piercing eyes shadowed by secrets, stands at the altar, his voice thunderous yet soothing, speaking of hope, redemption, and the light that never fails. But as his words rise, so does something else, a tremor in his hands, a sudden tightening in his jaw. His skin prickles as the cursed rhythm of the moon gnaws at his veins. Beneath the wooden floor, claw marks scar the planks where, on nights like this, his true nature claws to be free. The villagers don't notice. They lean in, their eyes wide, desperate for his firebrand words. "Do not fear the darkness," he roars. Yet sweat runs down his spine. His voice falters. He grips the pulpit so tightly it cracks under his hands. Then the door creaks. A thin silhouette slips inside the poor girl, Amara. Dust on her hem, hunger in her eyes, yet a quiet strength in her step. She was not invited. She was never welcome. But her gaze collides with his, and for the first time Elias feels the beast inside him hesitate. The growl building in his chest falters. But the moon will not wait. His fingernails blacken, lengthen. His breath deepens into snarls. The villagers finally see it, his veins bulging, his teeth lengthening, and gasps ripple through the chapel like wildfire. A child screams, "Monster!" Elias's body contorts, bones cracking, robes tearing. His flock stumbles backward, horrified. Only Amara does not move. Her lips whisper words, ancient words, half prayer, half song words she should not know. And it stops him. For a heartbeat. His amber eyes flicker back to human. But the hunger is stronger. His claws shoot out, his fangs bared, his body lunging forward. The moonlight catches him mid-air. What if the only person who can tame the monster is the one the world calls worthless? Don't blink, because this episode peels back the veil on Amara, the poor girl everyone ignores, and reveals a secret that could turn predator into protector. Claws flash through the moonlit chapel air. Amara does not scream. Her breath catches, but her eyes, deep pools of defiance and sorrow, lock with the beast's. Pastor Elias, half-wolf now, freezes mid-attack, his muscles trembling, his snarl trapped in his throat. His amber eyes burn with hunger, but beneath it flickers something unexplainable. The congregation shrieks, scattering, overturning pews in their panic. Mothers drag children away. Men brandish torches though their hands shake. "He's cursed," someone wails. Yet Amara does not flinch. Her lips move, soft but steady, whispering words older than the chapel's cracked stones. "Yara Nakobi, hold the night. Bind the beast." Elias jerks, convulses as if chains wrap invisible around him. His claws retract halfway, his teeth grinding, his body caught between man and wolf. His growl fades to ragged breaths. Amara steps closer, one trembling hand reaching out. Her palm hovers just inches from his chest, over the place where his heart beats like a war drum. "Who are you?" Elias rasps, voice layered with both man and beast. But Amara doesn't answer. Not yet. Her face is pale, drenched in moonlight, eyes shadowed with a burden she's carried alone. She presses her palm lightly against him, whispering the last line of the prayer. Instantly, his body collapses to his knees, trembling like a broken man instead of a raging predator. The villagers, peeking from corners of the chapel, cannot believe what they see. Amara, the orphan, the beggar girl they spit at in the market, taming the monster with nothing but words. But it costs her. Blood trickles from her nose. She stumbles, swaying, drained as though the prayer sapped her life. Elias steadies himself and catches her before she hits the ground. For the first time in years, he feels human. "Why did you save me?" he whispers. Her eyes glisten. "Because you are not the only cursed one." Before Elias can demand what she means, The chapel doors explode inward. Wooden planks splinter, torches blaze, and a mob of villagers floods in pitchforks raised, silver glinting in their trembling hands. Their leader points at Elias, his voice sharp with terror. "You see? The girl protects him. The pastor is no man of God, he is cursed, and tonight we end him." Elias rises, his eyes still burning with the beast, and the mob charges straight at him and Amara. The mob surges into the chapel, torches blazing, their shadows clawing at the cracked walls. Men shout, women wail, and children cling to skirts as the villagers form a circle around Elias and Amara. The air stinks of smoke, fear, and fury. "Seize him," someone cries. "The pastor is a beast. He deceived us all." Hands grab Elias, dragging him forward. His body still trembles with the aftermath of his half-shift, too weak to fight back without unleashing the monster again. He could break free, he could slaughter them all. But their terrified eyes, the same eyes that once looked to him for guidance, freeze him in place. Amara pushes through the throng, her voice breaking. "Stop, please!" The elder of the village, a gaunt man with white hair and a voice like stone, raises his staff. This man hides claws under his holy robes. He is no shepherd. He is cursed, and the curse must be burned out before it consumes us all. The crowd roars in agreement, some chanting, "Burn him, burn him!" They drag Elias outside to the square, piling wood in a crude pyre. The smell of resin fills the night as flames threaten to spark. Amara stumbles forward, blocking their path, her arms wide though her body shakes. "No, you didn't see what I saw. You saw nothing. He is still our pastor." The crowd pauses. Murmurs ripple. Some look uncertain. Others sneer at her, spitting at her feet. "Lies," the elder hisses. "The girl is bewitched. Why else would a beggar defend a beast?" Elias, bruised and held fast by rough hands, lifts his head. His eyes meet Amara's. Confusion clouds his heart. Why risk her life when she owes him nothing? "Why?" he whispers hoarsely. But Amara cannot answer with truth. Instead, she cries louder. "I saw nothing but a man brought low by fever. You accuse the only one who has fed your hungry, prayed for your sick, buried your dead. Is this how you repay him?" The mob falters. Guilt flickers in some faces. The elder snarls but lowers his staff slowly. If the girl speaks true, then we watch. One more sin, one more sign of the beast, and he burns. "Swear it, pastor. Swear before God you are no monster." Elias swallows hard, the weight of his curse pressing heavy. His voice breaks but does not waver. "I am a man who fights shadows, none of you see." The pyre remains unlit. The mob disperses reluctantly, but suspicion hangs thick as smoke. Elias is freed, collapsing against the chapel wall. Amara kneels beside him, her voice low. "They will not stop until they destroy you." He looks at her, eyes dark with turmoil. "And still you saved me. Why?" Her silence is heavier than any confession. But before he can press her, a scream shatters the night. Villagers rush toward the riverbank, torches bobbing like fireflies. Elias and Amara follow the cries, their stomachs tightening. There, under the silver moon, lies a body mangled, shredded, blood soaking the sand. The scent of wolf clings to the air, and Elias knows with icy dread it wasn't him. Another beast walks among them. The body on the riverbank lay twisted, torn as if ripped apart by claws larger than any man's. The villagers gathered in a tight, trembling circle, whispering, pointing, their fear sharpening into rage. Torches hissed in the wind, their light dancing across the water's edge. "It's him again," someone muttered, their eyes darting toward Elias. "The pastor, the monster." Elias stood rigid, the metallic tang of blood burning his throat. His fists clenched, his chest heaving as he forced himself not to shift, not to lose control in front of them. "This wasn't me," he said, his voice low but steady. "I did not kill this man." No one believed him. The elder's staff struck the earth like thunder. "How convenient," he spat. "The beast denies the blood at his feet." Amara stepped forward, her thin frame a fragile shield between Elias and the mob. Her voice, though trembling, carried enough conviction to still them. No, I was with him. I saw his struggle. If he wished, he could have torn me apart, but he did not. This is another. The crowd gasped, their murmurs clashing like storm winds. Another? Another beast among them? The thought slithered into their hearts colder than death. Elias's eyes burned with a grim truth. He felt it in his bones, smelled it in the air. She was right. He wasn't alone. That night, long after the villagers retreated to their homes, Elias stalked the outskirts of the village. The moon glared down, full and merciless, tugging at the curse inside him. He inhaled the night deeply, sorting through the forest scents until he found it the musk of wolf, but not his own. Stronger, wilder. He followed. Through twisted branches, over roots and stones, deeper into the woods where the river's whisper faded into silence. His breath misted in the air, his heartbeat syncing with the predator's rhythm. The trail grew fresher, snapped twigs, claw marks gouged into bark. The other beast wanted him to follow. And then he saw it. In the clearing stood a figure, hunched, massive, fur bristling like shadow-made flesh. Its eyes glowed gold, cutting through the dark like fire. Saliva dripped from jagged fangs. Yet it did not pounce. It stood waiting. Elias shifted halfway, claws and teeth bared, body vibrating with fury. "Show yourself," he roared. "Why slaughter them? Why drag me deeper into damnation?" The beast tilted its head, lips curling into a snarl, and then, in a guttural voice laced with venom and memory, it spoke. Elias. The name slithered from its maw with such familiarity that Elias froze, his blood running cold. This was no stranger. This was someone who knew him. The word echoed through the clearing like a blade slicing the night. Elias. The werewolf's voice was guttural, inhuman, yet behind the growl lay something Elias hadn't heard in years: familiarity. Recognition. His breath hitched, his claws curling as he stared into those glowing golden eyes. "Who are you?" Elias demanded, though part of him already feared the answer. The beast stepped forward, fur rippling under the silver light, its massive form shifting. Bones cracked, muscles twisted, and slowly the wolf's shape folded inward. When it straightened, it was no longer entirely beast, but not quite man, a hybrid, grotesque yet striking. And in that face, half-fanged, half-human, Elias saw it. The scar across the cheek, the sharp line of the jaw, eyes that once laughed beside him in boyhood, now burning with feral hatred. "Gideon," Elias whispered, his voice breaking. "It cannot be." A cruel smile split Gideon's monstrous face. "Oh, but it is, brother. You thought me dead, buried, forgotten. Yet here I stand stronger than you'll ever be." Memories surged nights as children huddled by the fire. Gideon's laughter, his sudden disappearance after their father's downfall. Elias had mourned him. Now that grief twisted into horror. "You should be in the ground," Elias said hoarsely. "I buried the thought of you years ago." Gideon's snarl deepened. "You buried a lie. Father's sins did not kill me, they forged me. The curse he carved into our bloodline runs deepest in me. And you, poor brother, are still shackled by shame." Elias's heart pounded. Their father, a man both revered and feared, had dabbled in forbidden rites. Elias knew that much. But Gideon's words clawed open old wounds. "You mean, all this, the beast in me, was Father's gift," Gideon finished, stepping closer, towering. "The shepherd's curse, a brand passed to us both. You hide yours behind sermons and prayers, Elias, but I embraced it. I became what we were always meant to be." Elias shook his head, voice raw. "We were meant to be men of faith, to guide, not slaughter." Faith. The word made Gideon laugh, a hollow, venomous sound. "Faith?" His golden eyes flared. "While the village cast us out? While Father's sins chained us to the moon? No, brother. Faith is weakness. Power is truth." Elias's claws flexed, his beast straining at the cage of his will. "You killed that man by the river," he growled. "You framed me." Gideon's grin widened. "I showed them what you are. and soon I'll show them more. The village that cursed our name, that called father a heretic and left us to rot, they will kneel, or they will burn. Elias's breath caught. You would destroy them all? Gideon leaned close, his voice low, dripping with malice. Unless you join me. The golden fire in his eyes glowed hotter as he whispered, Stand with me, brother, or watch your precious flock burn. The forest seemed to close in as Gideon's words hung in the air, heavy as chains. Stand with me, brother, or watch your precious flock burn. Elias's claws dug into the earth, torn between rage and grief. I will never walk your path, he spat, though his heart thundered with uncertainty. Gideon's laughter rolled through the trees, deep and merciless. Then pray hard, shepherd, Gideon sneered. Pray for their screams when the flames rise. With that, his monstrous form melted into the shadows, leaving Elias trembling beneath the moon. By the time Elias staggered back to the village, dawn's pale light bled into the sky. His thoughts churned. Gideon's return, his father's curse, the blood at the riverbank, and the weight of the villagers' suspicion pressing against him like a tightening noose. The chapel doors groaned as he entered. The air was still, the scent of smoke lingering from half-burned torches. He dropped to his knees before the altar, gripping the wood until splinters bit into his palms. He whispered prayers, but his words felt hollow, bouncing off stone walls instead of heaven. Unbeknownst to him, Amara lingered in the shadows near the back pews, watching his shoulders quake with the burden he carried. She wanted to comfort him, but before she could step forward, hushed voices seeped through the side door. She froze. The church elders. Their whispers were sharp as knives. The people are restless, one said. If we do nothing, they'll riot, muttered another. We must call the hunters, the elder hissed. Elias cannot be allowed to curse us further. We hand him over better his life than all of ours. Amara's stomach turned cold. She pressed her back against the wooden beam, heart pounding, as the men filed out with grim resolve. Their plan was set. She slipped forward, kneeling beside Elias. He looked up, eyes hollow. I heard them, she whispered. They mean to betray you. His jaw tightened, though deep down he'd expected it. Perhaps it is what must be, he murmured. If I flee, their fear will die with me. No, Amara snapped, fiercer than she meant to. If you flee, Gideon wins. If you surrender, this village loses its only shield. His gaze pierced hers, pained and searching. You would have me stay? To fight a curse I cannot control? Her hand found his, small and trembling but steady. I would have you stay because you are more than this curse. Because without you, they have nothing. The silence between them was thick, charged with both desperation and something unspoken. For the first time, Elias saw not just the poor village girl, but a fire that rivaled the moon's pull on his blood. But before he could answer, the chapel's stained glass shattered inward. A hiss filled the air. Arrows, silver-tipped, cut through the candlelight, burying themselves in the pews, the altar, the very floor where Elias knelt. One whistled past his cheek, searing his skin with its burn. Hunters. Dozens of shadowed figures poured through the broken windows and doors, crossbows raised, silver glinting. Their leader's voice thundered, By order of the crown, the beast dies tonight. Silver glinted in the firelight as hunters stormed through the broken chapel windows, crossbows drawn, eyes cold with purpose. Their leader's voice cracked like a whip. By order of the crown, the beast dies tonight. Elias rose slowly from the altar, chest heaving, the beast beneath his skin clawing for release. He spread his arms, shielding Amara behind him. Leave now, he growled, his voice carrying the echo of a growl. This is holy ground. Holy, the leader spat, torchlight dancing in his cruel eyes. You've defiled it with your existence. He loosed the first arrow. The silver tip hissed as it tore through the air. Elias twisted, but the shaft grazed his arm, burning through flesh like acid. Pain exploded down to his bone. The beast roared inside him, shredding the last threads of restraint. Bones cracked, muscles surged, fur ripped through his skin. His robe split apart as the shepherd fell and the monster rose. The hunters faltered at the sight, but only for a moment, then they fired in unison. Arrows whistled. silver seared. Elias howled, his monstrous form thrashing against the tide of blades. He lunged, claws tearing through wood and stone. A pew splintered, hunters screamed, blood sprayed the walls. Yet even in the fury, he struck to wound, not kill his humanity, wrestling the beast at every blow. "Elias!" Amara's voice cut through the chaos. She pulled him toward the side door, her face pale in the smoke. Flames licked up the curtains, devouring holy banners. Candles toppled, fire spreading like judgment itself. The chapel groaned, timbers cracking overhead. They broke through the door just as the roof collapsed behind them, sparks and embers raining down like stars falling from heaven. The once sacred chapel, the heart of the village, was swallowed in flames. Outside, the villagers gathered in horror. Mothers clutched children, men shouted curses. To them, it was clear. Their pastor had unleashed the beast and burned God's house to the ground. "He betrayed us," one cried. "The monster has revealed himself." Another spat. Their eyes turned not with grief but with hatred. The people Elias had fed, prayed for, buried the people he'd given his soul to, now recoiled as if he were plague itself. Elias staggered, his body smoking from silver burns. He wanted to speak, to explain, but the beast's growl choked his words. Amara tugged at his arm. "We have to run." They disappeared into the tree line, flames still roaring behind them. The night swallowed them whole. But the nightmare did not end there. From the shadows at the far end of the village, figures stirred. Hunters bloodied but alive, the ones Elias had wounded but spared. They stumbled into the road, coughing smoke, clinging to life. And then a darker shape emerged among them. Massive, powerful golden eyes burning with cruel delight. Gideon. He stepped into the fire's glow, his voice booming with mockery. My, the shepherd spares the wolves in man's skin. How merciful." His grin split wide, fangs glinting. "But mercy is weakness." The hunters looked up at him, confused, but Gideon lifted them to their feet with ease, his massive hands steadying them. "Stand, brothers," he growled. "You've hunted the wrong beast. I will show you the true path." As the chapel collapsed into embers behind them, Gideon raised the hunter's arms high and declared with a savage smile, "From this night forth we are allies." The night bled with smoke and betrayal. Behind them the chapel smoldered, its bell collapsing in a shower of sparks. Ahead, only the whisper of trees and the thrum of crickets guided their way. Elias staggered beneath the weight of his burns, each silver wound glowing faintly as if lit from within. "Keep moving," Amara urged, her small frame braced against his side. But Elias's legs faltered, his monstrous form shrinking back into torn flesh and bone. By the time they reached the safety of the woods, he collapsed against a fallen log, trembling. Amara knelt beside him, her hands shaking as she tore strips of cloth from her own dress to bind his wounds. "You'll bleed out," she whispered, her voice thin with fear. Elias caught her wrist, his eyes dim but still glimmering with the beast's fire locked on hers. "The silver doesn't just wound, it burns the soul. Leave me." Her jaw tightened. "No." She pressed the cloth to his arm, ignoring his hiss of pain. "I won't." As she worked, her gaze caught something strange beneath the torn remnants of his robes. Across his chest, just above his heart, the flesh shimmered faintly, not from firelight, but from something deeper. A mark etched like scar tissue, pulsing with a dull blue glow. She froze. "What is that?" Elias followed her gaze, his expression shadowed. For years he had hidden it, even from himself. "The shepherd's curse," he rasped. "A brand carved into my bloodline. I never speak of it." Her fingertips hovered over the glowing sigil, drawn to it. Lines intertwined in a shape she almost recognized, a spiral, a cross, and a wolf's eye all woven together. The moment her skin brushed it, a shiver rippled through her body. Whispers filled her mind, old and broken, words not in her tongue but hauntingly familiar. She jerked back, panting. "I've seen this before." Elias's gaze sharpened. "Where?" Her voice cracked as the memory surfaced. "My grandmother's book. She kept it hidden, pages filled with symbols, chants, warnings of the old bloodlines." She said they were cursed priests, bound to wolves. Elias leaned forward, his chest heaving. If that book speaks truth, it may hold the key to breaking this. His claws twitched unconsciously as he whispered, or condemning us further. Amara swallowed hard. The memory of her grandmother's frail hands pressing the book into her chest surfaced. Keep it safe, child. One day, it will seek you. She rose, determination sparking in her eyes. Then we must find it. If anyone can decipher this curse, it is written there. Together they staggered through the night until Amara's hut came into view, small, crooked, its thatched roof sagging under the weight of years. Relief swelled in her chest as she pushed open the wooden door. The familiar smell of herbs and smoke greeted them, but something was wrong. The shelves were bare. Drawers hung open. The air was thick with dust disturbed too recently. She rushed to the corner where she always kept it, wrapped in cloth beneath the floorboards. Her hands scrabbled against the wood, prying it open. The space was empty. No. Amara's breath shattered into silence. It was here. It was safe. Elias loomed behind her, his eyes narrowing as if he could smell the absence itself. Cliffhanger. Amara turned, her face pale, her voice breaking. The book. It's gone. Someone has stolen it. The words still hung in the air like smoke. The book, it's gone. Someone has stolen it. Elias's nostrils flared, his beast sense prowling the shadows of Amara's hut. Whoever was here, they left recently, he growled, clawed fingers brushing against the dirt floor. His eyes glimmered with suspicion. And they still linger near. A rustle, a low crunch of leaves outside. Before Amara could answer, the door creaked wide, and a figure stepped in. Cloaked in black leather, a mask of iron covering half his scarred face, he held the stolen book in one gloved hand. The firelight flickered across its cracked spine, casting cruel shadows across the hunter's jaw. Looking for this? His voice was sharp as steel scraping bone. Amara's stomach knotted. The air thickened with dread. She tried to rise, but the hunter raised a silver-tipped crossbow in his other hand, steady and unshaking. Don't, he said. I've killed beasts larger than him. He tilted the weapon toward Elias, who bared his teeth, and quicker than you can draw breath. Elias growled, the wolf in him trembling at the silver's scent. Give it back, he snarled, muscles coiling to strike. But the hunter ignored him, his eyes dark and calculating, fixed on Amara. It's you I came for, girl. Her breath faltered. Me? He stepped closer, dropping the crossbow slightly but never loosening his grip on the book. You carry it in your veins, the bloodline, the whispers that stir when your fingers touch these pages don't lie. You felt them. Amara froze. The memory of that searing hum beneath her skin when she brushed Elias's curse mark flooded back. Elias turned sharply to her, suspicion flickering in his gaze. What is he talking about? The hunter smirked beneath his mask. Didn't tell him, did you? How noble, how foolish. He opened the book and flipped through brittle pages until stopping on a sigil glowing faintly with ink that refused to fade. Your family is bound to his curse. To break him free means cutting the bloodline thread, your bloodline, girl. Amara staggered back. That's not true. Oh, it is, the hunter hissed. And here is my offer. He snapped the book shut with a hollow thud, the sound echoing like a coffin lid. Bring him to me. Betray him. Do this, and I will burn this cursed mark from your blood forever. No whispers, no haunting, no fate chained to beasts. Elias stepped forward, fury etched into his frame. She owes you nothing. The hunter's eyes glimmered cold. She owes herself freedom. The silence stretched. The fire popped. Elias's gaze searched Amara's face, desperate and unyielding. Don't listen to him, he said softly, voice breaking through his growl. You are not cursed. But the hunter's words had already burrowed deep. Amara's heart throbbed painfully in her chest. The thought of release from the whispers, from the shadows of her grandmother's warnings, from this endless spiral of fear drew tears to her eyes. The hunter extended his hand, the book glowing faintly in his grasp. "Choose, girl. Freedom or chains? Which will it be?" Amara's breath trembled. She clenched her fists until her nails broke skin. Elias was watching, trusting. Her throat ached as hot tears blurred her vision. And yet, in the depth of that storm, her lips formed the words the hunter wanted. Words Elias could not hear. Amara's tears streamed silently down her cheeks as she whispered, "I'll do it." Amara's whispered words still burned on her tongue. "I'll do it." The hunter's masked face had twisted in grim satisfaction before vanishing into the dark with the stolen book, leaving only silence and the weight of her choice. Now, under the pale wash of the moon, Amara sat across from Elias near the charred ruins of the chapel. The fire had long since died, leaving only the scent of smoke clinging to the night air. She wrapped her arms around herself, hiding the tremor in her hands. Elias crouched nearby, sharpening a blade that glinted faintly in the moonlight, though his eyes seemed fixed on something far away. His voice broke the quiet, low and heavy. "I wasn't always like this," he said. "A shepherd's son. That's what I was meant to be. But the night my father's sins caught up with us, everything changed. Gideon died that night or so, I believed. And I carried his curse instead." Amara's heart clenched. He had never spoken so openly. "I prayed for years," Elias continued, the whetstone scraping slowly along the blade. "Prayed for freedom, for forgiveness, for the beast to be taken away. But every prayer was answered with silence. And now I wonder if God abandoned me, or if I abandoned him." Amara swallowed hard, her chest aching. The hunter's offer echoed in her mind, tempting and vile. How could she betray this man when he bared his soul so openly? Yet the promise of release of freedom from the whispers in her blood gnawed at her like a parasite. "You haven't been abandoned," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You're still here, still fighting. Maybe that's the answer." For a moment, Elias looked at her not as a monster, but as a man drowning, clinging to her words like a lifeline. His eyes softened. The moonlight caught the lines of pain etched deep into his face, and something fragile flickered there. Trust. He set the blade aside, closer now, his voice raw. "Amara, I don't deserve your kindness, but if I can believe in anything again, it's because of you." Her throat tightened. Tears pricked her eyes, not from tenderness, but from the knife of guilt driving deeper into her heart. She had already betrayed him, already promised his enemy what no forgiveness could wash away. And yet, she wanted nothing more than to protect him. Amara leaned forward, her hand brushing against his. Her lips parted, words to confess the truth, to tell him about the hunter, the bargain, her shame, but the sound of children's screams shattered the moment. Both turned sharply. Distant wails echoed from the village, carried by the wind. Elias's eyes flared, wolf-light igniting in their depths. He rose in an instant, every muscle coiled in fury. Then, across the darkened fields, a silhouette appeared, broad, towering, unmistakable. Gideon. His massive form glistened under the moon as he dragged terrified children by their collars, their cries slicing the night. His voice thundered, mocking and cruel. "Brother, if you want them alive, come to me. Surrender, or watch their blood paint the river." Elias's roar split the night, torn between rushing to Gideon and protecting Amara, while her hidden betrayal threatened to crush them both. Elias's roar echoed through the valley, shaking the trees and silencing even the night creatures. His body strained, muscles quivering as the beast within surged to the surface. The moon poured silver fire into his veins, calling him to war. Across the field, Gideon stood like a dark mountain, children squirming helplessly in his massive grip. His laughter was a guttural snarl, cruel and mocking. "Still the righteous one, brother?" Gideon called. "Still the shepherd guarding lambs who hate you? Look at them, look how they fear you more than me. At least I don't pretend to be holy. Elias stepped forward, each movement deliberate, his claws half-formed, his jaw trembling with restraint. "Let them go, Gideon. This fight is between us," but Gideon only tightened his grip, the children crying out in terror. "No, brother. This fight is about truth." And it's time the mask came off. His gaze shifted sharp and venomous, landing on Amara. "She didn't tell you, did she?" Gideon's voice slithered like poison. "Your precious savior. Your sweet little orphan girl. She's already betrayed you." Amara froze, blood draining from her face. Elias blinked, confusion flickering through the wolf light in his eyes. "What are you talking about?" "Ask her about the hunter," Gideon growled. "Ask her about the book. Ask her what she promised in exchange for freedom from her cursed bloodline." The ground seemed to tilt beneath Amara's feet. The children's cries blurred into distant echoes as shame crushed her chest. Elias's gaze turned on her, searing, searching. "Amara, is it true?" His voice cracked, broken, as if the answer might kill him more than claws or silver ever could. Her lips trembled. Words wouldn't come. She wanted to scream no, to deny everything, but her silence spoke louder than any confession. Elias staggered back, as though her betrayal struck deeper than Gideon's claws. The fire in his eyes faltered, pain hollowing his face. Gideon grinned, savoring the fracture. "See, brother? You can't trust anyone, not even the girl who claimed to save you." Elias roared again, fury and heartbreak colliding, and lunged. The ground exploded beneath his feet as he and Gideon crashed together, claws ripping, jaws snapping, the night shattering with their battle. The children scattered, screaming as Amara rushed to pull them away from the chaos. The brothers fought like storms colliding, blood, fur, and rage. Gideon's strength was monstrous, but Elias fought with desperation, every strike a war between vengeance and sorrow. Then suddenly Elias faltered. His body jerked, his growl cut short into a choking gasp. He stumbled backward, clutching his chest. His skin blistered where the beast should have been invincible. Confusion rippled through his eyes as he collapsed to one knee, coughing violently. His claws retracted, his wolf form breaking apart. "Silver," he rasped, realization dawning. Amara's breath caught in her throat. Horror struck her as she remembered the stew she'd fed him earlier, left for her by the hunter. The deal, the food, the trap she hadn't even realized she'd served with her own hands. Gideon's grin widened, savage and merciless. "Ah, so the shepherd falls by the hand of his own lamb." Elias crumpled to the ground, poisoned and powerless, his gaze fixed on Amara not with hatred, but with the kind of heartbreak that tears worlds apart. The world tilted in a haze of smoke and shadows as Elias's consciousness flickered. The last thing he remembered was Amara's face tear-streaked, trembling as the poison devoured his strength. Now he opened his eyes to darkness, the stench of blood and damp stone pressing around him. Iron chains bit into his wrists and chest, glowing faintly where silver had been woven into their links. Every breath burned. Every twitch of muscle sent agony through his body. His beast snarled inside, but the chains tightened like serpents, suppressing the transformation. "You wake," a voice rumbled. Gideon emerged from the gloom, his eyes glowing red in the dim torchlight. His form was half-shifted, fur bristling across his shoulders, claws flexing lazily as if he had all the time in the world. Elias growled low, though his strength barely let him lift his head. "Release me. Fight me without tricks, brother." Gideon chuckled, circling him like a predator savoring prey. "Tricks? You're bound by more than chains, Elias. You're bound by lies, by weakness, by her." The mention of Amara twisted like a knife in Elias's chest. He shut his eyes, her silence haunting him more than the chains. At that moment, soft footsteps echoed from the corridor. Amara appeared, a lantern clutched in her hands, its light trembling with her every step. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow from sleepless nights and gnawing guilt. "Elias," she whispered, rushing to his side. Her fingers brushed the chains, recoiling as the silver hissed against her skin. Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know the food was poisoned. Please believe me." Elias met her gaze, pain and betrayal tangled in his eyes. He wanted to trust her, wanted to believe, but the memory of Gideon's words still echoed. Gideon's laugh shattered the moment. Oh, how sweet. The lamb tending the wolf she's doomed. He stepped forward, towering over Amara, his presence suffocating. But there's something you don't know about yourself, girl. Something even your dead grandmother tried to hide. Amara froze, the lantern shaking in her hands. What are you saying? Gideon crouched, his grin feral. You carry a legacy older than either of us. Your blood is not ordinary. It is the key, the curse, and the cure. His claws tapped against Elias's chains, sending sparks. With a single cut, your blood could heal a beast of the shepherd's curse, or kill him instantly. Amara's breath hitched, her entire body trembling. She staggered back as if struck, the weight of Gideon's revelation threatening to crush her. Elias's eyes widened, his voice hoarse but urgent. Amara, don't listen to him. But Gideon's growl silenced him. He rose to his full height, eyes gleaming with triumph. Choose, girl. Save him, or destroy him. Either way, the fate of every wolf rests in your veins. Amara drops the lantern, its flame flaring wildly as her hands tremble, torn between the chains of guilt and the terrifying truth of her blood. The lantern hit the stone floor with a sharp crack, flames licking hungrily across the damp ground before sputtering against the wet moss. Shadows danced violently on the walls of the cavern, throwing Gideon's hulking frame into monstrous shapes. Amara clutched her hands to her chest, her breath shuddering as Gideon's words echoed in her skull. The curse and the cure, the fate of every wolf rests in your veins. Elias strained against the chains, the silver cutting deeper with every pull. Don't, Amara, he rasped, his voice breaking with desperation. Don't give him what he wants. He's twisting the truth. But Gideon stepped closer, his claws catching the faint light, his voice low and poisonous. You think you can deny it? Look at him rotting under the curse, wasting away like a mangy dog. One drop of your blood, girl, and we'll see if you're salvation, or executioner. Amara's heart thundered. Every instinct screamed to run, yet her feet were frozen. She thought of the nights Elias prayed for her, the nights he shielded her from arrows and accusations, the gentleness hidden behind his beast. If she did nothing, he would die. If she obeyed, she might kill him faster. Her hands trembled violently as Gideon shoved a jagged dagger into them. The handle was cold, the blade cruelly sharp. Decide, he growled, pressing closer until his breath burned against her cheek. Or I'll cut him open myself and bathe in your blood. Tears blurred her vision as she raised the knife. Elias's eyes locked onto hers, pleading, not for his life, but for her not to surrender her soul. Amara, please, don't let him turn you into this. Her chest cracked with pain, but her hand moved as if pulled by some ancient thread woven into her veins. She dragged the blade across her palm. Blood welled instantly, hot and red, dripping like rubies onto the cold stone. She knelt before Elias, the sight of him breaking her heart, the chains biting into his flesh, the sheen of sweat clinging to his face, the beast within him clawing for release. With a sob, she pressed her palm above his chest, letting the blood seep onto the strange glowing mark, the shepherd's curse. The reaction was instant. Elias's body arched violently, every muscle convulsing as the mark blazed with a searing light. His roar echoed through the cavern, part agony, part something unearthly. The silver chains rattled, glowing red-hot as though struggling to contain the surge within him. Amara screamed, trying to pull back, but Gideon gripped her shoulders, forcing her hand down harder. More, give him more, he howled, his voice almost ecstatic. The air thickened, heavy with the scent of burning metal and blood. Sparks flared from the chains, the cavern trembling as though the earth itself recoiled from what was happening. Elias's breaths came in broken gasps, his eyes squeezed shut as his body writhed. Then silence. Amara's blood dripped slower now, mingling with the ashes of the extinguished flame. Elias's body stilled, his chest rising only faintly. The glow on his skin dimmed, then pulsed again, brighter, sharper, alive. His eyes snapped open. But they were not the golden wolf's eyes she had known, nor the weary human's gaze she had come to trust. They glowed a pure, searing white, like two burning moons staring into eternity. Amara recoiled in shock, her wounded palm pressed against her chest as Elias's chains shattered into pieces. With his eyes blazing white, he turned his head slowly, yet she could no longer tell if he was still Elias at all. The chains clattered to the stone floor, molten silver fragments hissing as they cooled. Elias rose slowly, every movement measured, controlled, but his presence radiated something primal, something ancient. The white glow in his eyes pierced the darkness, cutting through the cavern like twin moons ablaze. Amara stumbled back, trembling, tears streaming freely down her cheeks. She had meant to save him, to release the curse with her blood, but what emerged was more than she had ever imagined. Half-human, half-beast, Elias's form rippled with raw power. Claws flexed and retracted at will. His teeth glimmered white against the dim torchlight. The chains had held nothing. Gideon's eyes widened with a mix of triumph and sudden fear. You can't?" Elias tilted his head, the faintest hint of a smile, or was it a snarl, playing across his lips. The air vibrated with the growl emanating not just from his throat, but from deep within the forest itself, echoing off stone like a drum of war. "I am no longer bound," he whispered, voice low and deadly, carrying both human calm and beastly menace. "Not by chains, not by silver, not by you." In a blur of movement, he lunged. Gideon barely had time to call his pack, dozens of beasts as twisted and massive as he was, their eyes glinting in the torchlight. But Elias was faster, faster than any wolf, faster than any man, faster than the moon could pull the tides. Claws tore, jaws snapped, growls clashed in a symphony of violence. The cavern shook as bodies fell, Gideon's minions shredded with surgical precision, each strike controlled, yet lethal. Not a drop of innocent blood fell, only the wolves who had served Gideon. Gideon staggered backward, his grin faltering as his pack was annihilated. "Impossible," he hissed, eyes narrowing. "No mortal." Elias rose from the carnage, standing tall despite the crimson stains of battle, fur and flesh intertwined seamlessly with his human form. His white eyes locked on Gideon. "You forget, brother. I am the shepherd reborn." Amara fell to her knees, both awe and terror battling in her chest. "Elias, what are you?" He turned toward her, the glow of his eyes softening just enough to recognize her. "I am what I must be, to protect you, to protect them." But their moment of triumph shattered with the sound of heavy boots and a familiar, deliberate gait. From the shadows, a figure emerged. The mask was removed slowly with calculated grace, revealing a face both aged and sharp, a cruel echo of the man Elias remembered as their father. Amara's hand flew to her mouth. Elias's white gaze snapped to the figure, recognition flickering with disbelief. "It cannot be," Elias whispered, his voice cracking with rage and horror. The man smiled, faint and dangerous. "Alive, my sons, always alive." Cliffhanger. The masked hunter was their father, alive and watching. The cavern trembled with the echoes of Elias's white-eyed roar and the shattered remnants of Gideon's pack. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating, but not for long. Their father stepped closer, the mask removed, face lined with years of cunning and cruelty. His eyes, dark and commanding, swept over Elias, Gideon, and Amara. "You think this chaos happened by chance?" he asked softly, almost a whisper, yet it carried through the cavern like thunder. Elias snarled, claws flexing. You orchestrated this?" A slow, mocking smile curved the man's lips. "Of course. Every death, every betrayal, every curse, it was mine. I cursed my own sons to ensure the bloodline would never weaken, never die. Power must be preserved even at the cost of love, even at the cost of family." Gideon's eyes narrowed, rage flaring like wildfire. Your own sons?" He lunged, claws glinting, but their father did not flinch. Instead, he raised a single hand, and Gideon skidded to a halt, as if restrained by invisible chains. Amara stumbled back, horrified. Why me?" The father's gaze softened not in affection, but in calculated precision. Because, child, your blood carries the purity needed to either sever the curse or enhance it. The shepherd's curse, the wolf's fury, it responds to you. Only through your sacrifice can the cycle be broken, or perfected. Elias's jaw clenched. You'll never. Silence, the father interrupted, voice low and cutting. Your fury blinds you to the truth. Without me, the curse dies with you. Or worse, it consumes the world. Gideon, however, had grown reckless. With a roar, he lunged, driving a jagged dagger straight into their father's chest. Blood erupted, sizzling as it hissed against the unnatural silver veins beneath the skin. For a moment, time froze. Amara's scream echoed through the cavern. Elias's claws flexed, ready to strike, ready to tear his brother apart, but the impossible happened. The father's eyes flared brighter than the moon, absorbing the strike. Gideon's strength, his fury, his very essence, was pulled into their father in a shocking surge of power. The man's body expanded, glowing veins pulsating as he inhaled deeply, drinking in the strength of the attack. Gideon staggered back, horrified, his body trembling under the unexpected transfer. "No! No!" he screamed, realizing the dagger had not killed, it had empowered. Elias's growl rumbled through the cavern, a sound both human and beast. "Father, what have you become?" The father's gaze swept over them, a predatory grin splitting his face. "Everything I was meant to be, and more. Now, my sons, you will see the true measure of your bloodline." Amara clutched her chest, trembling. We have to stop him. But how?" The father laughed, the sound echoing like a storm breaking through stone walls. "You cannot stop me. Not yet. But I will give you a choice. Your blood, girl. It will decide the fate of the shepherds." Cliffhanger. Lightning-like power crackled from the father's body as he roared, fully absorbing Gideon's strength, and the cavern trembled under the weight of a force neither Elias nor Amara had ever faced. The cavern trembled as the father's form swelled, bones cracking and reshaping, muscles expanding, fur erupting like molten shadow over his skin. His human features were consumed, twisted and remade into something monstrous, divine, and terrifying, a werewolf of legendary power. Wings of black fur bristling from his shoulders, eyes glowing like molten gold. "I am no longer the man you knew," he thundered, his voice both human and beast, echoing through the chamber and shaking the stones to dust. "I am the Alpha Priest, the keeper of the bloodline, the shepherd of power itself." Elias rose, half-beast, white eyes blazing, fur rippling in response to the Alpha Priest's energy. His claws flexed, muscles coiling for attack, but even the beast in him hesitated. The father's aura radiated omnipotence, a force that bent the very air. Amara stumbled backward, terror pinning her to the stone floor. Flames of residual battle light flickered across the cavern as debris rattled from Gideon's defeated pack and the structural tremors of the lair. The Alpha Priest lifted a clawed hand, and Elias felt the force push against him, weight and gravity bending like liquid. Every step forward became a battle against an unseen force. "This ends now!" Elias roared, teeth bared, but the power of the Alpha Priest was absolute. Amara grabbed his arm. "We can't fight him here, we have to escape!" Elias snarled, glancing around. Smoke and rubble covered narrow tunnels. Using a mix of agility and his newly mastered half-beast form, he grabbed Amara and leapt into the shadows, dodging arcs of golden energy that scorched the ground where his father's claws struck. The Alpha Priest's laughter rolled behind them, a sound that promised annihilation. "Run, sons! Run, lambs! Your blood is mine to command!" The tunnels twisted, debris crashing down as they navigated the labyrinthine passages beneath the lair. Elias's heart pounded. Every instinct screamed danger. They barely made it through a collapsing passage, emerging into the forest under the pale moonlight. For a fleeting moment they tasted freedom. Amara gasped, clutching her side, hair plastered with sweat and blood. Elias turned to her, eyes scanning the forest, muscles tense. "We're alive. For now," he muttered, voice grim. But their relief was short-lived. From the shadows of the tree line, figures emerged, hulking silhouettes moving faster than the eye could track. Before Amara could scream, a net woven of dark rope shot from above, binding her limbs. Elias lunged, claws tearing through the branches, but the net held fast. A dark, commanding voice echoed through the forest. "You are coming with me, child," the Alpha Priest declared, voice like thunder carried on the wind. Amara struggled, tears streaming, her chest tightening as she was lifted off the ground. Elias roared, leaping after her, but branches snagged him, slowing him just enough. Amara vanished into the Alpha Priest's grasp, carried toward a dark altar where her blood was meant to seal or destroy the shepherd's curse. Elias's roar split the night, a promise of vengeance and desperation. The altar loomed before her, carved of black stone etched with runes that pulsed faintly in the dim light of the cavern. Amara's arms and legs were bound by enchanted chains, cold against her skin, biting into her wrists as the Alpha Priest set her down. Her chest heaved, lungs burning, heart hammering in terror and disbelief. "You are far more than you know, child," the Alpha Priest intoned, his colossal form dwarfing hers. "Your blood, your heritage, it has awakened after centuries of slumber. Only one of your line can bind the shepherd's curse. Only one can ascend to the throne of the wolves." Amara's mind reeled. I'm nothing," she whispered, though her voice cracked. "Just a poor village girl. I don't have power." The Alpha Priest knelt, looming over her with a mixture of reverence and menace. "Your grandmother lied to protect you. You descend from the ancient priestesses, the queens of the wolf blood. You carry the crown in your veins, the key to life and death." Amara's gaze dropped to her hands. The chains constricted, but her pulse thrummed strangely, faster than it had before. Beneath the surface of fear, something ancient stirred, rhythm older than the forests themselves. "You will marry me," the Alpha Priest continued, his voice echoing through the cavern. "In the ritual, your blood will seal the curse across the bloodline, or I will use it to enslave it entirely." Amara trembled. Every instinct screamed to resist. Every memory of Elias's trust and the lives of the villagers weighed against her. And yet, the whisper in her veins, the same whisper that had called to her grandmother, rose to the surface, beckoning her. Chains clanked as her pulse quickened. The runes on the altar pulsed in response to her fear and bloodline. The Alpha Priest raised his massive claws, prepared to draw the first cut of the ceremony. "Give yourself willingly, child, or I will take you by force. Your blood belongs to me and the curse, whether you wish it or not." Amara's chest burned. Her palms tingled. She could feel something deep inside, awakening the same power that had saved Elias once, buried and sealed in her ancestors' blood. She shut her eyes, breath shallow, mind racing through centuries of whispered incantations taught by her grandmother in secret. She imagined the wolves, the shepherd's curse, Elias's eyes, the forest, the moon, everything she had fought for. And then her nails flexed against the chains. A warmth spread through her veins, white-hot, radiating from her heart outward. The runes etched on the altar flared violently, illuminating the cavern with a blinding light. The Alpha Priest's grin faltered as he stepped closer. "No, this cannot." Amara opened her eyes. The whites of her pupils glowed faintly, silver threads of light crawling across her skin. Her scream pierced the cavern as her body convulsed, beginning a transformation that mirrored Elias's but distinctly her own, ancient and terrifying. On the altar, Amara's hair lifted, eyes glowing, and her form began to shift, half-human, half-priestess werewolf, her bloodline awakening in ways even the Alpha Priest had not foreseen. The cavern quaked with the force of Amara's awakening. Light erupted from her body, white and silver threads swirling around her as her transformation continued. Her chains shuddered, cracks spreading through the enchanted metal, the runes screaming in protest. "Stop this, child," the Alpha Priest roared, looming over her like a storm made flesh. "You belong to me. Your blood is mine to command." Amara's eyes flickered, a battle raging within her. Half of her desired to submit, drawn by centuries of inherited power. The other half clung to her humanity, to Elias, to the village she had sworn to protect. Her hands trembled as she flexed her claws, fighting the primal instincts surging through her veins. Then a shadow tore across the cavern entrance. A roar of fury echoed behind it. Elias burst through, leaping over fallen rubble, half human, half beast, his white eyes blazing with raw power. His claws raked through the air, silver and fury clashing against the Alpha Priest's glowing aura. "Amara!" Elias shouted, closing the distance between them. "Hold on! Fight it! Fight him!" Amara's lungs burned as her mind screamed. Her form writhed in pain and power, fur sprouting along her limbs, silver threads etching patterns across her skin. She hissed, teeth bared, struggling to focus, to resist the pull of the Alpha Priest's will. The Alpha Priest laughed, a sound that shook the cavern like thunder. "See, Elias, she is mine. Together we will complete the shepherd's curse. Your rebellion ends tonight." Elias lunged, slashing at his father, but the Alpha Priest deflected with a swipe that sent Elias skidding back. The cavern shook, rocks falling, torches sputtering. Yet amidst the chaos, Amara fought her instincts, flexing her claws against the chains of power that sought to control her. Her voice, half growl, half human, rose in defiance. "No. Never." She slammed her palms to the altar, silver energy erupting in a shockwave that sent the Alpha Priest stumbling back, his massive form cracking as centuries of arrogance met raw, awakening bloodline power. Elias pressed forward, jaws snapping, claws glinting, fury and love fueling each strike. Side by side they were unstoppable, but before they could land the decisive blow, the cavern doors slammed open with a deafening crash. Gideon emerged, his form twisted, soulless, eyes black voids, the remnants of his humanity erased by the Alpha Priest's previous manipulations. His claws glinted, dripping with cursed energy, his lips twisted into a cruel sneer. "I've come back," Gideon rasped, voice hollow, "and I'll finish what I started and destroy both of you." Amara's glowing form and Elias's fury turned toward the new threat, but Gideon lunged with supernatural speed, leaving them no time to react, and the cavern erupted into chaos once more. The cavern trembled as Gideon lunged, soulless eyes fixed on Elias and Amara. Rocks fell like hail, and the air was thick with the scent of blood, ozone, and burning fur. Amara's body glowed violently, silver energy coursing through her veins as she fought the pull of the Alpha Priest's curse and Gideon's rage. Elias's white eyes met hers, steady and unwavering. "Amara," he shouted, his voice booming across the chaos. "We are more than monsters. We are protectors. Fight with me." The words carried farther than he knew. Outside, villagers who had once cowered, hunters who had aimed silver arrows at his back, now paused. Something in Elias's defiance, in his unwavering faith, reached them. Slowly, one by one, they stepped into the fray, not to slay him, but to stand with him. "The shepherd's curse is not your end," Elias roared, claws tearing through the shadows as he met Gideon mid-charge. "It is the fire that proves our faith." The Alpha Priest's voice thundered, shaking the cavern. "Fools! You cannot hope to defeat me. Your rebellion is meaningless." But Amara, trembling yet resolute, began channeling her priestess heritage fully. Her form shifted seamlessly, fur interlaced with the ethereal silver of her lineage, wings of light flickering from her back as ancient incantations left her lips, echoing through the cavern. Her chains shattered completely. Gideon and the Alpha Priest attacked together, a storm of claws, fangs, and dark energy. Elias and Amara countered, their movements perfectly synchronized, half-human precision and half-beast ferocity blending into something unstoppable. Sparks flew as claw met claw, silver collided with blackened fur, and the cavern walls groaned under the weight of their battle. Elias, seizing a moment of clarity, raised his voice. "People of the village, hunters, witness your faith. This is your fight too. Stand and resist the darkness." The villagers rallied, lifting torches, hurling makeshift weapons, overwhelming Gideon's remaining forces. Hunters aimed not to kill Elias, but to strike at the Alpha Priest, coordinating with Amara's radiant energy. Amara's eyes locked on the Alpha Priest, fury and fear intertwined. She leapt onto the altar, dagger in hand, heart pounding with every pulse of inherited power. The alpha priest roared, claws smashing stone beneath her, but she drove the blade into his chest, silver blood mixing with the dark curse. A scream tore from his throat, echoing like thunder across the cavern. Light erupted, blinding, crackling with the fury of generations. Amara collapsed immediately after the strike, energy drained, her body hitting the stone floor with a shuddering thud. Elias lunged to her side, catching her in his arms, eyes white but filled with anguish and determination. Around them the battlefield paused, even the villagers holding their breath. Amara's eyes fluttered weakly, her body trembling. The alpha priest shrieked, staggering but not defeated, and a dark pulse surged from him, stronger, angrier, more relentless than ever. Elias's claws flexed, and the next strike would decide not just the curse, but the fate of every soul in the village. The cavern shook with the alpha priest's shriek, a sound that split stone and rattled bone. His colossal form loomed over the battlefield, half divine, half monstrous, silver blood spilling from Amara's dagger wound but refusing to end him. Darkness radiated outward in violent pulses, knocking villagers and hunters to their knees. Elias crouched over Amara's trembling body, shielding her from the blast. Her eyes fluttered open, weak but resolute. "End it, Elias," she whispered, her voice no more than a breath. Elias's chest burned where the shepherd's curse once glowed, but instead of pain, he felt clarity. For the first time, his beast was silent, not chained, not raging silent. He rose slowly, eyes still glowing white, and raised his arms to the heavens. "Curse or blessing, my bloodline will not bow," he roared. His voice thundered, shaking even the alpha priest. "This ends not in darkness, but in dawn." A blood eclipse hovered above, but as Elias spoke, its crimson veil cracked. The moonlight pierced through, silver and pure, bathing the cavern in holy brilliance. The alpha priest roared in fury, his form unraveling under the cleansing light. Flames burst from his wounds, each howl of rage marking another piece of him dissolving into ash. Gideon staggered toward Elias, soulless eyes wide with terror. For the first time, the once proud warrior looked afraid. His body ignited suddenly, engulfed in unnatural fire, his scream echoing until it broke into silence. His ashes scattered into the glowing wind. The alpha priest, writhing, reached toward Amara one final time, but her silver aura flared instinctively, shielding her. With a final roar, his massive frame crumbled into fire and smoke, consumed utterly. The cavern floor split, swallowing the remnants of his power. Then silence. Villagers and hunters looked on, awestruck, their faces bathed in the pale light of the moon that now shone untainted. Amara stirred, her body reverting from half-beast to human again, though deep silver scars now traced her skin like celestial etchings. She touched them and wept, not from pain but from survival. Elias knelt beside her, no fur, no claws, just himself. His shoulders were broad, his breath steady, but his wolf was gone. He knew it before anyone said it. The shepherd's curse had shattered. He was only a man now. The people gathered, their voices uncertain. Some praised him, others whispered fearfully about what his bloodline had unleashed. Elias looked at them and understood. Peace could not grow if his shadow remained. That night, under the reborn moon, he made his choice. He pressed his forehead to Amara's, tears burning in his eyes. "Live, Amara. Rule, protect, and remember me not as a monster, but as your shepherd." Amara clung to him, her sobs tearing through the stillness, but she did not stop him as he turned away. Villagers parted in silence as Elias walked into the forest, every step heavier than the last. His figure disappeared into the trees, swallowed by the night. The world was quiet. Too quiet. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, a wolf's howl echoed from deep within the forest. It was not Elias's voice. It was something else, something waiting.